Hey everyone, it's 1 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We still have a few people filtering in here, but I'll let them into the meeting as we move on. So we want to take this moment to thank you all for taking the time to join and learn how to use the HaulHub app and web app. As you all know, we recently released a spec on e-ticketing that is starting to populate in some of the newer projects, and so we want to make sure that we give you ample opportunity to catch a training on HaulHub. So we have scheduled 3 of these, plus we have, of course, recordings on our YouTube page, and likely this one will end up on our YouTube page as well, so you can refer back to it as needed. We're joined today by Sean Miller of HaulHub. He is the rep for Louisiana, and he has been getting with all of the contractors and getting them signed up and getting their plants connected so that we can have that data flowing for the tickets. And I'm going to turn it over to you now, Sean, and let you kick off the training.
Awesome. Yeah, just 1 second. I need to set my Zoom settings to share my screen. It appears. 1 sec.
Looks like we have it set to where you can share.
See if that works.
Didn't find him. I think your mic's on too.
While we're waiting on Sean to get set up here, I do want to mention that for those of you that have never logged in before, and Sean is probably going to cover this, but I'll just kind of give some pre-words to it. So if you've never logged in before, there is an API connection between HaulHub and Headlight. So if you have a Headlight connection, you are in the HaulHub system, and you can go into the app and just choose forgot password to get logged in the first time. It'll ask you to choose a password, and that'll get you in there. And I believe the projects that you have in Headlight will also populate in HaulHub as well. So that connection's already been put together. So Sean might go over some of the login stuff, but I just wanted to mention that ahead of time.
Yeah, are you guys seeing the screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen. You're good.
Perfect. Apologies for that. Thanks, Les. Yeah, so in general, we're going to dive into how you utilize this out in the field on the mobile app for inspecting tickets and seeing the e-ticket information, and then also on the web and how you can view the same information that's being acted upon out in the field and being received from the contractor and supplier, but then also how you can get some reports, some summary reports. So before we dive into that, I want to just roll through kind of the general hierarchy or chain of command for data flow from producer to contractor to agency. So this is the main website that you can go to as an agency stakeholder, inspector, engineer, whoever has access to any projects would sign in here for the website. And you can see I kind of pulled up our centralized platform is organized with a portal for each entity here. So agency personnel, including consultants, prime and subcontractors, and you've got the producer suppliers who own the plants. So we ingest the data from the supplier's plant system. They don't create ticket data in our system. We're just attached directly to the plant loadout system, or they're pushing the data from that loadout system database into HaulHub. And then once they do, it's only in view for them as the producer of the material. And then after that, they are able to permission that data to be in view for any projects to the agency and the inspectors, as well as the contractor. So that's kind of how the data flow works. The contractor and supplier need to make sure that they have permissioned any tickets by a certain job number to be in view for an existing Louisiana DOTD contract, which, as Les was referencing, our system receives all contract information from Headlight on a daily basis. I'm going to pull up my phone screen here and actually go to the App Store. So if you haven't, if you're a DOTD inspector, then you are able to go to the App Store on your device and download this eDOT Inspector app. And then once you do, it'll prompt you to sign in. Les, remind me, are you guys on SSO? I'm trying to remember.
So on the headlight supplied iPads, they can't go to the App Store in some cases, so they'll have to use the self-service app to get it. Yep.
Yep. So once you get logged into our eDot Inspector app on your device, that again, you're going to get permission through from Headlight. Then you're going to see your projects here that you might be working or have access to see as an inspector who's out in the field, or just an engineer, project manager. Even if you're not out there on site, you would have access to see on a daily basis what's going on for any project. So once you get logged into the app, you can see we're on a today page. And then you'll see up here, really today is referencing a day shift, which is by default from 5 a.m. all the way out to 4:59 p.m. And then if you're working a night job, then you're going to see or be able to select night job for your shift. And this is going to show you all tickets for any project that you need access to, starting from 5 p.m. all the way out to 4:59 a.m. the next morning. Obviously, a day shift might run past 5 p.m. or a night shift might run past 5 a.m. And so you have this custom line to say if there's a truck or two still waiting to be delivered on site, then you can make sure that your ending time is up to date to your current date and time out on site so that you're capturing those last couple truckloads and they don't get cut off per our default shift range. One other thing that you'll be prompted if it's your first time logging in is you're going to actually get automatically prompted, and you can reference this in account settings to set up one time an e-signature. That way, if you're ever signing off as a plant inspector or you're out in the field and you're accepting a ticket, marking it delivered, then this e-signature will be automatically stamped along with the date, time, and geolocation to the truckload ticket that you are inspecting. So if I'm an inspector and I get out there on site, when the first truck loads out, you're going to see that e-ticket within 5 minutes of that ticket being generated at the plant. So you're going to be able to see your project appear here when the first truck loads out for your shift. And then you're just going to tap into your project. And this is essentially where you're going to live throughout your shift to see everything starting from load 1 on down as the trucks are loading out. You're going to have a reference to the total ticket count throughout your shift. We'll get into some of these features up top, but you have some filters up here. So if you want to see if multiple materials throughout have been ticketed, then you'll see that right here in the list. So if these were 2 different ones, then you would be able to select whichever material you want to see just those tickets for. The status is every e-ticket is in a pending status automatically in our system until you as the inspector mark it as delivered, or you would go to more actions and reject that truckload ticket for whatever reason. Maybe the truck never showed up on site. Maybe it did, but it started pouring rain. They had to send the material back. You're not going to use any of that material. Then you would just hit more actions and mark it rejected for that e-ticket. But then you can see here regarding the information that's visible. When the trucks are leaving the plant, you'll know which ticket number, the load number for this material, the daily total that the plant is loading out for the material, at what time the truck loaded out. You're going to have the hauler information along with the specific truck ID, and then your net tonnage weight or net cubic yardage if this was concrete, and then a description of the material. You can see here we have the ability to input a station if you wish, as you guys are calculating that out on site. There's also some new functionality here that I'll get into in just a moment. And then you have a general notes section. So when this truck arrives, you want to record your temperatures digitally. You have an array of fields to put in different temperatures regarding the material, when it arrives on site, when it's in the truck and begins, pouring, if it's asphalt, or being placed if it's concrete. Here's where you can also enter in station waste. So if it's the last truck of the day, for example, you're not going to use the entire truckload. So they dump, half of the asphalt. And maybe it's a 20-ton load, but they're going to go reload that truck at the plant to understand what needs to be deducted and what was not used. Then whenever you figure out what the reweighed ticket is in that example, or for any reason, once you confirm how much waste needs to be deducted from a truckload of material that was partially used, then you can put whatever number of net tonnage here to the second decimal. So if I put 10.5, that's going to automatically deduct 10.5 net tons from this truckload ticket that I'm going to mark as received. But obviously, I didn't use 10.5 tons of it. There's a lot of other fields in here that can be utilized if you want to track your lot number. You can out in the field or your sublot, you can type, lot number and then sublot in one of these fields to track that. You have a general notes section, and you can always come back to this section and add or take away information. But once you're done, then you just need to hit update. And then all your notes are applied here. Again, you can input a station if you want. Sorry. And then you can mark your ticket delivered if you're ready to accept the load and have that confirmed. Once you do, you're going to get prompted for this ticket number along with the net tonnage minus any waste that I applied. And for the first load of the day, I'm going to have a list of pay items that I can search that are fed in from Headlight. You can search by unit of measure and then pick your pay item code, or if you needed to, pick 2 pay item codes to stamp onto this ticket and allocate the tonnage. So if this was 15.91 tons, I can allocate 5.91 and then the remaining 10 tons for the other pay item code, so that whenever you guys run summary reports, then you can have it every single tonnage broken out for each truckload ticket by the pay item. If you want, you can add another note here and then hit confirm delivery. So now I've inspected and confirmed delivery of that ticket with any notes. You can see here it falls out of my view because by default, we only set it to keep pending loads. So trucks on the road or haven't arrived on site or been inspected yet in your view. But if you want to maintain all ticket statuses in your view, then just click on this X here for the status chip filter. And no matter if you're marking a ticket delivered or rejecting it, you'll still be able to see your truckload e-tickets to go back and reference, starting with load 1. So then we can work our way down, and I'm going to go ahead and show you all the information you can get. So I didn't dive all the way into every detail for that first ticket, but if you want to, you can click anywhere in this header. And this is where you're going to see what we call all of your raw ticket data. So all the information coming from the supplier's loadout system on behalf of the contractor that you guys would expect to see per the specification. You can minimize that and see the weights broken out in their own section, which will at the very least give you your gross, net, and tear in tons. But a lot of times we'll grab it in other units of measure if their system allows it. And then reconciliation is if you apply a pay code to the ticket. So it would show on the former one which pay item code breakout and tonnage breakout I allocated for that truckload ticket, load number 1. Every single ticket, when you go into drill into the raw detail, you can go check an audit log, which will start with showing us what time the ticket was created in the supplier system to what time the HaulHub server received this ticket for your view. So in this case with Madden contracting, only 1 minute goes by from when they generated the ticket to when you guys will actually see it in the app out on site well before the truck arrives. There's also a photos button here that you can actually take a picture on site and just hit take photo after you click upload, or if it's already a saved image on your device, you can select a saved picture as well, and that will stamp it to this ticket and on this project for everybody to see and have a reference to if there was a good reason. And we'll look on the web side of the portal and show you guys some pictures that were taken on a real project by some inspectors already. So this is all the way drilled into the raw ticket data level. If you want to operate from here after drilling in, then you can still mark the ticket delivered or go to more actions and mark it rejected on this view versus kind of what I would call the project view where you see the high level ticketed load information. Either way works. If you were to need to reject a truckload ticket because it never shows up or you never use that material, then you would click more actions and just hit mark rejected. And then it's going to ask you to give a reason. And so that'll be in a rejected status that our delivery reports and summary reports would not factor in as a delivered tonnage to be allocated and paid upon. You can see after you mark a ticket, you can still go back and add your station or add notes. And because this is, a new app for a lot of you, maybe you accidentally didn't mean to mark it rejected. Doesn't mean that it's the end of the world and you can't go back and undo things. So if I didn't mean to hit rejected on this ticket, you can always go back to more actions and mark it back to delivered or pending status. Same goes for notes. You can always go into the notes section. If you need to go back and add a field temperature or an ambient temperature, you can go back and do that at any point, and it'll automatically update for everybody who has access to the project if they were to view this ticket. So regarding station, this is a request that you can make to Les and Patrick Eisnagel and the central team, e-construction team. You guys obviously use markers out there to calculate your station. And then in our app, we have, this field to input it and type in your station and offset. We have a new feature capability that if you're able to obtain the design file or design alignments for a project, if there is one, then that can be embedded in the project ahead of time. And what that will do is give you, if you back out of your job, you can go to this explore page. And then it's going to show you at your specific location. Obviously, I'm not near a job site, but if I was, you guys would actually see the alignments. So I'm going to search a couple Louisiana projects that have had alignments uploaded to them, and it's going to take me to it. So if you guys were out here on the road, you could actually zoom in and see every single station per the design of the job that was uploaded ahead of time. And you would also see, like we were just looking at my, blue dot location per my mobile device where I was standing. And then you would just press and hold on your location and it'll give you your station and offset. Currently, I could view this and know that I'm referencing the proper station all digitally without having to rely on the markers out on site because this is the design of the job. And then I could go type this in that station field back on my today page within my project. And just input that here. That will eventually be an automated process to where we will actually allow you to just be in your project viewing the ticket. You'll actually click the station and it'll take you to the map if you have alignments uploaded against it. And then once you press and hold your location, then it'll automatically stamp it to this field for you. That is kind of the next phase of what that feature will look like. But currently it gives you some visibility on a visual map and per the design of the project. So as the trucks are loading out, you're seeing them here in your project in the app. You're marking them delivered or rejected, adding notes at any point, and that all is going to be tallying. So if you don't like seeing the first load out to the last, then you can sift over here and just flip the ticketed time from old to new to be from new to old, and that'll show you the last truck loaded out at the top of your view. So it just depends on the user, whatever your preference is. That's here for you to be able to filter on. looking at some of the feature pages up here, or bubble pages is what we kind of reference them as. There's some additional reporting for you to utilize at your own use and desire. It's called ticket reports. And so if I click on this, then throughout my shift, if I want to filter on one of the materials, that if there are multiple, then I can do that. But it's going to give me a net running total of tonnage that's been loaded out at the plant for the materials on this shift, along with the total tonnage that myself and any other inspectors have marked as delivered versus rejected versus any waste breakout and what's left in pending status. And that's just going to be automatically calculating as you guys are marking your tickets. There's also several other reports. I won't go through each, but we have a delivery report, which will give you your trucking lineup based on all the truck IDs being ticketed under this project for the day. And then each symbol represents a load of material that they've picked up. If it's a green check, that means you have marked it delivered. If it's red, exclamation, that's a rejected load. And then the time clock symbol is a pending load that you can select any of these, and it'll pull up the load number and the ticket information relative. And then you can click here to go into the raw ticket data layer. And then if you want to operate and say, mark this ticket delivered, apply any recent pay item codes that you applied from the beginning of the shift on any tickets, then they'll be saved up here for you. And then just hit confirm delivery. One note I'll make about pay coding is that you do not have to apply a pay code out there on site. There is a way to do this in a bulk fashion on the web, which we'll show. So you can bypass this if you wish and just hit confirm delivery. And that's still going to confirm the delivery of this truckload ticket. Obviously, if I had put any plant temperatures or notes, I would see that here, input my lot number, etc. You can always go back and add that. But the pay item coding can be done on the web, after your shift, if you want to kind of bulk apply one pay code, if that's makes sense or relative to your shift, then you can do that instead of doing it individually here while you're out there on site. The only benefit for doing it on site is that you won't have to follow up and do it again after your shift. One other report that I'll show is just the quantity by material type at the end. So this is going to be broken out. I think in this case, Madden has two different product codes with the same description, but this should generally be, two different materials where you're going to see your total ticket count and tonnage loaded out from the plant for your shift. Moving across the board, so everything past what I've shown is generally going to be, these are more to make you aware of these features. At the basic level of marking your tickets and adding your pay codes during the shift or after is really what the emphasis is for this training today. At the very least, confirming your deliveries, because that's going to really generate the value and drive the value of all the reporting and obviously all the auditing and estimating for a project throughout. But we do have the ability to log samples within your job that lab and QC folks can reference if they have access here. So if you want to log a sample for a specific material, then you can do that. You can choose a ticket within this project for a reference. So maybe it's, load 16 here. And then you can click some inspection fields, what's your sample method? What time was it taken? And then if you want to put a lot number, you can. If you want to add an image, then you can do that of the sample for people to reference. We'll grab the geolocation of your device of where that sample was taken along with the time. And then, if it's you who recorded the sample out there on the field, maybe it's a core sample for asphalt, or it's you and some others, then you'll be able to have a list of whoever would have participated in that you can apply their name to for this sample, along with any notes you want to leave for the lab folks to reference. And then they're able to reference all the samples on the website. And if they want to add or upload the lab test documentation, they can do that within the portal. Next would be if you, as an inspector, on the first day or prior to, want to have a work zone set up, you can do that from the mobile app here. You would just create a work zone and just put a name for whatever your work zone is. Label it a work zone area, which direction, say if it's a northbound direction, and then setting a boundary would allow you to go ahead and start. You hit start and then put your initial pin as to where you guys are going to be working throughout the job. Then set that, and then you can start hitting all the different points of the total job site area. This would be a one-time deal, and then every day that the job runs, then it would actually be sending out to Waze and the traveling public that this is the active area that you guys would be working each day, as so long as our system is seeing tickets for the job on this day. Once you're done drawing that work zone, you can just hit finish. There's some other detail you can add here, but it's not required, and then you just hit create work zone. I'm not going to actually hit create this work zone because it's not real, but that's how you would do it. Just one-time deal. It's not a daily basis type thing, so long as you draw the entirety of the project that you're going to be working. Photos, we record or reviewed where you can input that within a single ticket, but if you want to add a general photo, then you can always do that for everyone to reference if there's something with the job site, or a truck that broke down or something on site, whatever the photo may be for a reference. Doesn't always have to be a negative thing, but you can upload an image here at any point to the general job and not just per a specific ticket. If you have some sort of documentation, outside of the paper ticket that you want to back up, scanned PDF copy, you can do it on the fly. You just hit add document here, and then just hit this scan document button. It'll open up your camera. You just hover it over the document that you're holding, and then it'll save that as a PDF copy automatically in the project for everyone to see. The yield test, I won't go through a whole example here, but basically for asphalt and concrete, if you have marked multiple tickets as delivered, then you can run a test across those truckloads of material. And you just put a starting station, ending station, your depth, your width, and the theoretical max density. And then you can it'll tell you that you used 80% of the material based on what was actually on the ticket that you needed per your inputs, or maybe you used 120% of the material that you needed, based on your start and ending station, depth, width, and theoretical max. And that's just using the total net tonnage for the tickets that you would run the test across. This is a pretty important one. So the fastest way to get any issue resolved with us and the supplier of the material, say a ticket's missing, then you would just go to this report issue button and hit report a new issue. And then we're going to have some prompts here for you to drop down. Maybe it's just tickets are missing in general. If you're within your project, then it'll already have that auto saved for you. Who's the supplier? It's going to have who we've seen ticketed so far, but if it was supposed to be the first loadout from a new supplier on your shift, maybe we haven't seen an e-ticket come through, so there's a problem that new supplier hasn't connected the job number yet, then you can type in their name here. And then you can confirm which plant it's coming from. And then you can submit the issue after those initial required prompts. Once you do that, then it's going to create a reported issue that notifies someone at the supplier who we've already worked with to establish a connection to pull e-tickets from, and then our whole entire support team. And then we will take that from a reported issue and move it for you to acknowledged, to work in progress, and to resolved, and leave notes that you can actually tap into these status buckets and review kind of where we're at. And then usually that gets resolved pretty quickly because it notifies so many people whenever you report this issue out on site. Last but not least, we have an offline mode. And this is within the project, but also outside of the project. I'll show you where you can log an offline ticket. So if you are out on site and your device loses signal, maybe you run into a dead zone, maybe something's just wrong with the signal for whatever provider you're using, then the driver will always have a paper copy of the ticket because by law, they're supposed to maintain a copy of the BOL, and the truck drivers are not using an e-ticketing app. So they'll always have a backup copy, and all you need to do is just obtain it so you can punch in the last 4 digits of that unique ticket number. And then after that, you don't necessarily need to retain that paper copy anymore, because then after you do your inspection of the truckload of material, you can decide or confirm that, yep, this is going to be accepted and delivered to the job site. You can still record, your temperatures, how you need digitally in the app. You can add any of the notes that you typically would add, if you do have signal in the ticket, and then you just hit create at the bottom. What that'll do is throughout your shift, as long as you don't have signal, as long as you're logging the last 4 digits of that ticket number with any, digital notes and inspection status, then it's all going to sit in this bucket. And then whenever your shift is done or your device comes back into signal, then it'll all transmit to those tickets per the unique ticket ID number. And all of your digitally added notes and statuses will apply instantly, and they'll all transition from pending to sent tickets. And that's basically a reconciliation of all the digital information you input for that ticket. I'm going to click back out of here and show you where, if from day one of the project, if it's a dead site project and it's not going to have a signal ever, or for entire shifts, then your device obviously won't be able to see the actual live data coming from the plant. So you actually show offline here at the bottom, and then you can click on that. And this is where you are able to search any of the projects that are active today, and then you would just select yours. And then it's just the same process. You would just log that ticket offline based on the ticket ID from the paper copy. And then you can still just operate from here without having to have been inside a project that you're not able to see because you're out there in a dead zone. Similarly, if you have signal and you get out there for your shift and you don't see the project, but trucks are being loaded out, then you can report the issue up at the top right through this green plant icon. This will take you to the same report issue page that we kind of reviewed inside the project already. I'm going to stop there. Any questions on the mobile app?
So we had a question in the chat about, is there a feature that would show the truck trip times on delivery report for each truck versus having to manually calculate? I guess that would be like what time the truck was batched to what time it was delivered.
Yeah, no, perfect. So we do have that type of analytical reports. So under the, when you're in your project, go back to ticket reports. Then we have a first correlating to that is like a round trip time report. So this would be for the first truck listed here that loaded out for this job on this day, TT07. They loaded out their first truckload of material from the plant. They delivered it out on site. And then the timestamp we grabbed from their second loadout, we show you the minutes that went by in between each loadout for each truck. So it took this truck 100 minutes to take the first load of material out on site. deliver that, come back and load out a second, load of material at the plant. Now, if you're looking for like the time it takes just from plant to job site, not plant to job site and back, then we have that called, let's see here. No, it's not placement. Let me see. I believe that's our in-transit report. Let's see. Yeah. So this would show you the one-way transit time for a ticket from the time they load out all the way out to when an inspector marks it delivered. So the reason why you're not seeing more than just 2 tickets here is because in this project, none of the inspectors have marked any tickets. And I've marked 2 of them, one delivered, one rejected. So if you guys are marking tickets delivered, then it's the in-transit report that will give you the minutes and time it's taking from the truck going from the plant just to the job site. And that's based on the timestamp that we receive from the plant that they load out the material to the timestamp that's automatically applied when you guys hit mark delivered or rejected.
Thanks for that, Sean. And also there's another question about where the ticket shows the lot or sublot. I believe currently, aren't we just having the plant put that in one of the fields, but you guys have been working on adding a field for that?
Yeah, there's a if you drill into the raw ticket data level, then we are working on getting that. So you should see a field here called ticketed lot number. So everything in the raw ticket data comes directly from the supplier and contractor, and we are working with more of them to get them all applying that on each ticket for each project instead of you guys having to go to more actions and add that under the inspector notes field, where there's also some lot fields that you can add it. But where you would reference that for your project with whatever contractor you're working with, check the raw ticket data and see if it's reflecting here. And similar, here, then I still got to get with Benton and Brown to get them to start putting that on the ticket or letting us know where it is so we can pull it in.
Yeah, so if you guys are receiving tickets on a project and that ticketed lot is not filled in, you can also get with the plant person and talk to them about that, but also send us a message at dotd-econstruction@la.gov, and we'll work on them as well. Thanks, Sean. That's all the questions I see so far.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate that.
Hey, Les, I got one for you. I'm late to the party. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, David.
Is there any way to incorporate this in the headlight?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm going through HaulHub, which is it's a third party, right? So we have to assemble all of our tickets for the 2059. So this is a digital form. So can we use these tickets through HaulHub to incorporate in the headlight? Or is that just too far a branch to reach far?
There's actually already
better. Yeah, I'm working on getting the two to talk to each other. For now, though, if you want to just periodically offload the summary of batch tickets from HaulHub and import it into Headlight as an observation, we're okay with that. And ultimately, at the end of the project, when you're doing your closeout documentation, you can just export the entire summary from HaulHub and submit that with your ATM documentation as an attachment. We'll be fine with that as well.
That's right. You can add a file directly to the ATM at Headlight.
Yep. That works. Thank y'all. I knew y'all thought of it.
Oh yeah. We're working to get the two talking to each other so that a lot of this information will flow over naturally instead of having to work between the two. So.
I think there is one more question about what's the difference between the lot number and the ticketed lot number. But that's really, so the ticketed lot number is really intended that's the lot number applied when the ticket is generated by the contractor supplier, versus we have some other fields for like an inspector to be able to just manually type in what the lot number is, outside of what the supplier contractor provides you if needed. All right. And any other questions around the mobile? Obviously, it's not like this is the only opportunity, whether you want to put it in the chat for the remainder of the call or after you start getting out here and using this on some projects. Feel free to reach out to myself directly or Les and Patrick, and we meet on a regular basis to cover off and make sure if we need to answer some other questions once you guys get out there and have used this and marked tickets, for a few shifts, then happy to hear what those are and help you get those clarified or see how we can support you. So everything that inspectors do on the mobile app out in the field, as far as marking tickets, adding notes, that's all tracked right in the one portal, which is also a web facing portal that you guys have access to. So it's the same account information you use to log in for the app will be where you can go to our website, e-dot.com, and sign in with your same login info. And then from there, you will come to a page like this. This would be all the projects that you would have access to, regardless if they're running today or whenever you're looking at it for the current 24-hour period, versus maybe some that haven't run in a few days. You would still see a reference to each job number or contract here. When's the last time we saw a ticket? The fire symbol means it's active. And so here's a day count that we've seen tickets come through. So this has been delivering tickets for 14 total days. And then you have a reference to who all has access to the projects, along with who's active today in the portal. You can see who, if there are multiple suppliers, you can click here, but you can just hover over and see this is a Diamond B construction project. And then you can see there's been a total of 5 materials ticketed for this job that you can also click in and view to see the summary of those and then which ones are actually being ticketed today. So if you want to view more detail of your project and download tickets, etc., then you can just click anywhere into your project here. Before I do, I guess I should reference, if any inspectors at any point throughout a job have uploaded images, then you can click those images here and view what that is with a reference to the date and time and which inspector uploaded those. So that's obviously captured automatically. As far as the summaries go, don't pay too much mind to those right now. That's some AI we're building in to help give descriptions of what is on the image, just for a little added color for folks who want to reference kind of in addition to when and who took the picture, kind of what's going on if needed, if that helps. So here's some real images of this project that Dan Mayo uploaded. And then I'm going to click into my project to get some more information. So first off, the kind of neat thing is if you all are marking your tickets out there on site, at the very least, marking them delivered, doesn't have to be pay coded, but we actually can capture, like a live view of all the information and where each ticket was whenever it was received. And you get a cool kind of map here for every project, which is standard, to be able to see kind of the progression of your job. You can kind of adjust whether you're looking at street map view or satellite view. If you zoom out far enough, you would be able to see kind of where the plant is feeding this project. I thought I could see the plant at least. And so this is kind of a cool way to see maybe you were out there and the last truck of the day you had rejected, and you would be able to note that ticket here if it had been a rejected ticket. You can click on it, and it'll take you straight to this ticket that you can then expand and see all of that raw data that we're getting from the supplier and the plant, along with the weights and the inspector review here. And this is where Dan in this case added a note, but if you needed to go back and adjust or add any additional information after your shift or on the web, then you can do that. You can see here, if I turn the tickets off, and then you can see the work zone that was drawn for this project. Not everyone's going to see equipment that is on site, whether it's offline or offline. That's some volunteer kind of work that's been handled with some contractors that wanted to help provide some more work zone safety information to be transmitting. So even if the project isn't being ticketed, if there's equipment online, then that's transmitting to the general public that it's an active site, there's workers present, and that's kind of a pilot in a way that we're working on with a lot of these guys. So don't always expect to see that, but work zones can be drawn for any job, and anytime it's being ticketed, then that's going to be transmitting to the general public to be on the lookout and slow down. So that's a great benefit there. If I want to kind of view tickets by status or view tickets that maybe have something specific about them. Maybe I want to go see all the tickets that have had a temperature recorded. I'm going to turn on the temperature kind of filter and see just those tickets that I can then click on and then expand and then go see what temperature was added. So he put 275 degrees for the material temp. So that's kind of just some niftiness and visual that you guys get with using this, being able to view kind of your operation after you're not on site, but what you guys were doing out on site. So moving on down, we have ticket performance review. So this is different status of tickets. In this case, they have 635 tickets that were delivered that I can click into as a user with access to the project. And you guys, if you haven't logged in yet, you might not have your tickets grouped by any sort of, columns, but basically you're going to see this default set of columns from left to right, which isn't going to include all the information for each ticket. But if you want to view each individual ticket number, you just click on the line here. And again, just another instance of how you can see all that information here. And if you want to drag and drop column headers like date, and then maybe product description, then I can expand all 67 tickets for 521. It was all one product that we received. And then if I want to select all and I want to download these slips, then I can do that as a CSV Excel or a PDF. Or you could choose to do both. The columns from left to right that are in your view, for your own user account, you can manage what is in view. So if you don't care to see the customer name, because that's not really as relevant, and you want to pull another value in, then just drag customer column from your visible side to the hidden side. And then if you want to see daily total maybe, then you can drag that over here. Just hit save at the bottom. There we go. And then you can see that customer is no longer in my default view for my user account when I look at tickets, but daily total is now input at the end because I was able to drag and drop it from the hidden side, vice versa, and then whatever order you do top to bottom will be your order from left to right. Some automated reporting we have. As you guys are marking tickets, then you can click on this. We call it Project Assist, but this general area here just has some automated data notes it'll take for you based on the activity day to day. So you can see this is a summary for the operation on 521. And so there's some of this information that you might find valuable and that you can copy and paste or just have as a reference. If there's any other internal submission files or reports that you want to use this data for, we can also take any ideas as to, hey, what if, I'm marking temperatures or notes or lots for tickets? Can we have our kind of AI reporting feature here generate a summary of that in a certain fashion? We're welcome to all that feedback so that, we can automate as much aggregation of data for you guys, at least in the meantime, and going forward, so that it makes your all's lives easier from a documentation and reporting perspective. If I want to set up a daily summary that tells me from load 1 all the way to however many loads I receive for every shift that I work to be sent to my email, then just click on create report for our delivery report. Hit auto send. Say I want to receive this email. By default, we have it set to noon, but if you are a night shift for this project, maybe you want to receive the summary at 7 a.m. every morning. If the project runs. If it doesn't run that night, then you wouldn't receive an email. But then all you need to do is just type your email here, hit enter, and then save. And then what you're going to get is you can also download this manually. So just to give you guys an understanding, if you click a day you want to see a summary for and hit download, then you're going to get this report here, which is our daily delivery report stating that the project, the date and time frame of the shift that you're summarizing. You got the different products that were ticketed for this shift on this day. You got 67 loads for 1,514.36 net tons marked as delivered. Nothing was left in pending or rejected or had waste added to it. You had one load for 6.66 tons of this material that wasn't marked, delivered or rejected. And then as I scroll on down for each material, then it's going to have its own section. Sorry, right here. Starting with your load 1, and then you got your ticket number. And then here's some other information that comes from the tickets in the supplier, but also you can see here some of the columns are based on if the inspector was adding a station or a lot or any general notes. So obviously that would be populated if you guys add that as an inspector in the app. If not, it'll just be left blank all the way down to the last load. And then you can see the other material or any other materials that are left or separated out on their own page. In this case, this one load that was left in pending is kind of in its own page here at the bottom. As you guys start getting these reports for your projects, also open to feedback around what columns are visible. This is a PDF one in particular, so obviously we're limited with space, but open to understand what specific fields on any ticket, whether that's a field that comes directly from the supplier or a field that you guys are inputting throughout your inspection and notes process. We could always look to filter in and out any data, but we also have some other reporting mechanisms as well that can be included. So for example, a finals report, this would be the delivery report is a daily summary PDF. Finals is a whatever range of time you want as a Excel summary for materials delivered and used. So you would just click on finals report, hit create. Maybe you want to see it by supplier or by material. Those are kind of the two that are most commonly used. And I only want to see delivered tickets, so that way I know my total quantities for items or materials that we're actually going to pay because we actually used it. Maybe I want to see the month of May on this project, starting at 12 a.m. for the first day, all the way out to, it'll just default to current time that you want to run it and where we're at with May. I'm going to download that. And so then I'm going to get this report summarizing all of the tickets along with any temperatures if they had been recorded. And I'll expand or zoom in some here because I'm sure that's hard to see. Starting with load one for each day from 5/1 to 5/22 for this contract. There's been 634 total loads for 14,305.1 net tons. Here's every single load count for each day. Plant. Obviously, these missing fields are if we're getting that or you are inputting that as an inspector, or we're getting it from the contractor supplier, along with all of your just delivered tickets. So this would be the total you would pay out in summation for the material on this project. A lot of other information as you scroll down that is just other avenues to get to it. One thing I want to show is, so that project didn't have pay item codes uploaded on it, but I want to show you guys, because I referenced that you do not have to apply the pay item code when you confirm a delivery in the app. So if you want to do that at the end of your shift, then here's how you would do it. You would go to your project, and then I would go to, say in this case, I'll just go to the pending bucket, or let me back up. Probably the easiest way to do this would hit all tickets from the front end of your project. And then I have everything already organized to be by date. So if yesterday I wanted to apply a pay item code to all 78 tickets for this material, then I can select all and hit code by materials. And I'll click the drop down on the first one, search by unit of measure. If it's asphalt, it's going to be a tonnage. Asphalt concrete, if that was in this example, the pay item code to be applied to all the tonnage for the tickets that I received, hit apply all. And I'm going to say use the net tonnage, which is going to be the net tonnage on the ticket minus any waste that I would have input. And then I'm going to hit apply to all as well. And then if I need to, leave a note for any tickets. Or, maybe I know that for the last load of the day, I'm actually I'm going to ensure that we do not pay all the net tonnage, even though I hit net and applied that. But the last load of the day, which would be at the top, I want to actually adjust and only pay for, 10 tons, because that's what you had agreed upon or calculated. If you didn't use that, all the material, then you can go ahead and type 10 here. Oops. And then just hit apply at the bottom right. And so that's how you can apply a pay code to any one ticket. I hit select all, obviously, but if you want to also just operate out here and do just a group of tickets, or, click on one and code the materials here, then you can do that instead of doing it on the mobile app. So that's just a user preference, really. Yeah, I think that's pretty much, I know we're running right on time here. So let me check questions. Do we have any questions on anything?
Stuff, yeah.
I see, Connor, you're coming on the AI bot. It's definitely not meant to, the AI bot is still dependent on you guys actually, using the platform. So by no means will they be taking your job. But there's a lot of cool things we can do as far as spitting out some details based on your all's activity within the portal on each ticket, that what you see isn't just what you get. We can always look at building and implementing more stuff from a report aspect than what you guys have seen so far on this demo and what's live today.
Sorry, I was a little late to the party, Sean. Did you go over the safety aspect of setting up work zone, or was that for a different meeting?
I did on the mobile side,
On
but
the mobile
that's
side?
something we can definitely do on the web as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, on the mobile, you can draw the
I,
work zone.
I just wanted to emphasize the importance of that Hall Hub with the ADCMS grant, along with, I believe, Iowa State's doing the research on it. The preliminary findings are showing that drivers are slowing down in response to these notifications that are being sent from these triggered events from the work zone. And they're much more receptive to them because they're showing actual real-time status events and not just something that's been posted out there 4 months before the construction even started disrupting traffic. So this is something that is definitely a best practice, definitely a safety aspect that everyone should be taking to heart and looking to incorporate into their work zones. And we're looking at ways to start importing the work zone limits directly in. So it's just a matter of you configuring the message and setting it up where as soon as you start receiving tickets, it's toggling your work zone on and off. So it's definitely something that I hope everyone at least gives a chance, takes a look at and start making it a best practice because it's very simple to set up. And it's just one more safety tool that we can utilize to make that work zone as safe as possible. Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's a great call out. Anytime you guys create one of these work zones, again, you can do it on the mobile app, but you can also search your project on the website and go just click into your job. Even before it starts delivering material, just make sure that you're filtered on both construction and bid status projects because each project is in a bid status by default when we receive it from Headlight until tickets are actually being connected and delivered for the job. So you may want to just search ahead of time, just make sure the bid filter's on, hit save. Then you can go to your project here on the web and create your work zone very seamlessly, like Patrick was saying. It'll zoom into your location, but obviously if you guys are in Louisiana, you can use this map and zoom out pretty quickly and locate, where the site's going to be. One little tidbit is if you're on the streets view, you'll actually have a reference to the road names. Satellite view is cool visually, but you don't have the actual, road name references, so that might help. But it's just a one-time deal. You don't have to do it on a daily basis. And then it's triggering every day. So every day the job runs, I should say. Real quick, I know we're a little over. I just want to make sure everyone was aware of what a concrete ticket looked like. So both on the mobile and website, if you have concrete being delivered, you're going to get a view of not just your raw ticket data, but you're going to have some concrete specific information here. And then also this is where you get to see all your batch weights all in the same e-ticket instead of a different copy of paper that you're typically accustomed to. So that's just one thing I wanted to make sure everyone saw what a concrete ticket looked like. And I think that will do if no one has any further questions for now.
Thanks, Sean. We appreciate you going over that for us. There's also 2 additional trainings, I believe, in a couple of weeks. You guys are welcome to hop back on and go through it again. If not, tell your friends to join and kind of get some training as well. So with that, are there any final questions? All right, we'll take that as no, and we got it. Good job, Sean. All right, y'all have a good evening.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.